Okay, so good evening everybody, and a very warm welcome to this evening's meeting. And before we go into a guided meditation, guided inquiry, I just wanted to say a few things. It's funny, on these retreats I never really know what is going to come up, or I sort of don't have a schedule planned, you know, day one we're going to speak about this, day two, day three, nothing like that. It just kind of unfolds naturally and spontaneously, depending on who is here, depending on the mood of the group, depending how much sleep I get, all those kind of things. The main core of the gatherings that we have always is silence. It is always silence that is holding these meetings. That is always the main container. But within this container of silence, I'm always really speaking about two things. It's really one thing, but you know, in one way, let's say it's two things. I'm speaking about this heart presence, which is redemptive love, which is Christ consciousness. I'm speaking about that as a way to face, embrace, and I'm not sure if transcend is the right word, but I'll use it. Transcend our human identity, not our humanness, but our human identity, our personal identity. And actually this retreat so far has been all, as far as I can see, it's been all about surrender and redemptive love. But that is one wing of the bird. It's a big wing, it's a necessary wing. You don't see many birds flying one-winged, so we need that wing. But we also need this wing of wisdom. We need this wing as well. Because otherwise, we are just going to be too... we're going to be taking a reading on how we're feeling all the time. We're going to be taking a reading about our state, dependent upon how we're feeling. And this is why so many people, they say, you know, I had it, I had it. Felt all this love, and then it's gone, you know. And when they believe that, what replaces it? Again, the personal identity. And again, they feel, oh, you know, here I am, back at square one, all over again. This is why we need the realization of wisdom. And really, wisdom is to know beyond any doubt, to know beyond any doubt who we are. Not as theory, not as book knowledge, not as something you remember, but as actual, just reality that we cannot be other than that. That is how clear it becomes. You cannot be other than that. The path of wisdom is also called Jnana Yoga. And Jnana Yoga means path of self-knowledge. Means the path of self-knowledge. There are many different strands of yoga, many different strands of awakening. But really what I'm sharing very centrally at these meetings is the path of self-knowledge. The willingness to begin to introspect into our deeper nature, into our true nature. The willingness to be able to begin to ask the question, who or what am I? Who or what am I? And it is to ask this question not as a sort of, oh, I wonder who I am. Oh yeah, I'm this Swedish guy, and I'm sort of 35 and doing all right. Not that. Not that. But the question, who am I, is it is not a question for the mind, and it cannot be answered by the mind. The mind can only give you a limited version of what you are, can give you the fake copy of what you are. But to really be clear about who we are, we must be willing to explore ourselves absolutely freshly. We must be willing to take away all assumptions that we know who we are, and just really begin to see if we can follow the pointings. And I'm going to share some pointings in a moment, and I'm going to share a guided inquiry together in a moment. Now, the danger of inquiry, though it is the most simple path, and though it is the most direct path, the danger of it is it becomes mental for people. They start to think about it. And instead of directly looking, they give it to the mind. And the mind starts sort of becoming very clever, And you'll be able to impress people at dinner parties and things, but you won't really know who you are. So I'm inviting you to see if we can look together at something freshly. And I feel there's enough settled energy here now. There's enough space for us to begin to look at this question. So when we begin to look, the core of the teaching is whatever you can see and whatever has form and whatever can be witnessed or observed, it may be connected to you, but ultimately it cannot be you because you are aware of it. If you're aware of something, there must be one thing being aware of another thing. So all of us, we could all look into ourselves and we could say, I'm aware of, let us, in fact, rather than me teaching this like this, let us go through this together as a meditative inquiry. Because nothing I'm sharing is teaching, it's all direct pointer to awaken. All of it. So again, just let everything settle inside you to begin with. And just become naturally very still in yourself. Now from this place of stillness, we are going to explore our deeper nature, our true nature. So something inside you is aware of the mind. Something inside you can look at the mind and say, oh, my mind was so busy today. Or it may say, my mind was completely empty today. But you say, my mind, meaning not me, my mind, not me. So because you can observe your mind, because you can witness your mind, although it is connected to you, ultimately it is not you. So just for the purpose of this inquiry, we leave the mind aside now. And though feeling and emotion may arise inside you, they are very much part of our humanness. There is nothing wrong with feeling and emotion and sensitivity. It is all beautiful. But something inside you can perceive and witness feeling and emotion. Something can say, oh, I felt so happy today. Or I felt so sad today. Or I felt so joyful today. Something sees those emotions. Something is aware of those emotions. So ultimately, there must be something else here which is not just an emotion. Because also emotions come and go. They pass through. What perceives this passing through of emotion? What knows feeling and emotion in you? What is aware of your body? What says, oh, my body feels great today? Or my body feels, oh, I got aches and pains everywhere. What is it that knows body? It knows body. It knows mind. It knows feeling and emotion. It even knows the breath. Something in you is able to witness the movement of breath. So even though breath is one of our most intimate sensations, we cannot be the breath because something knows that. Something says, oh, I was out of breath. Or I was just breathing deeply. So though breath is connected to us, it cannot be us. Self-image. We all have a sense of self-image. We all have a kind of sense of what we're presenting to the world. But that self-image is always changing. It's constantly changing. What is it inside you that perceives the changing self-image? Now we're coming more subtle, more subtle, more subtle. You may say, well, I feel like I'm an energy. I feel like when I look, I feel I'm an energy. I say, is energy perceivable by you? What knows energy? Maybe our most intimate function is that of attention. Usually wherever the attention goes, our sense of self goes. But something inside you is more subtle than attention, because it can perceive attention. It knows when the attention is resting in itself or when the attention is all over the place. There is this kind of choiceless, placeless place inside you, which is witnessing without any interest. It's almost like a screen that is permanently on. But even to call it a screen isn't quite right. Because whatever I say about it isn't quite right. Because it is unmanifest. Meaning it is formless. The core of our self, the very center of our self, is this formless witnessing consciousness. It is perceiving your efforts to try to get to it. My own master, he asked the question, can that which is perceiving everything else, can that which knows everything else, can that itself be known? So now we're not going out to any secondary object, but we're resting as pure subject. When you come to this place inside you, there are no words that can convey this. You can only realize yourself to be it. And you will see that whatever takes place in front of it is like movements in consciousness. But the witnessing consciousness itself never changes. I am saying that this is you. That this is the real, true you. Why? Because it is always here. unchanging, unborn, unmanifest, yet fully here. Don't try to understand this with your mind, because your mind cannot grasp it. If this is known inside you somehow, then that is true freedom. Because that is not dependent upon any feeling, any emotion, any mood, any circumstance. It is independent of all opposites. It is the non-dual state. It is the godly state. What comes out of it, pure love, pure silence, pure being. Find this and you find yourself. Not as object, but as subject. You're not meditating on, you are meditating as. There is no duality here. There is no other here. There is just the one. That one is called God. The ever-present reality. Know this to be yourself. Know this to be the self. In a moment we're going to come out of the inquiry, but you're going to come to see that you can never come out of that. How can you come out of that which is ever present? How can you ever be separate from that? How can you be separate from God? In front of this, still, the deepening will take place inside us. The humanness will be honored inside us. But to the self, nothing is happening. You must confirm this over and over again until you can testify that this is true.